Hi there, this is Pete with BoardGameBoost.com. Thanks for joining me. In this video, I'll be demonstrating the assembly and use of the player board cube overlays for the game Terraforming Mars by Stronghold Games. This is a really amazing game, but it does suffer from two problems. The first of which is that the player boards, or player mats, are made of this light cardstock, which in itself is not that big a deal. But the problem is that this board has so much information going on it. You need to keep track of all your resources, and in addition, most importantly, use these cubes to mark your income of each resource. So because of the fact that these cubes have no way of locking onto the board, of course, and that the mat is made of this flimsy material, if you're playing on any type of soft surface at all, or just in general, the board has a high tendency of being able to be bumped and have things move around unintentionally. And so that's what this product solves, both of these issues. So let me show you how it works. When you receive the product in the mail, you're going to receive two sets of panels. One, which is largely solid. This is going to be the backboard that goes underneath the player mat. And the other, which has a lot of cutouts, and this is the overlay, which is going to go on top of the player mat. Both of these panels are made of the exact same material, which is clear acrylic. So the very first thing you're going to need to do is take the overlay, and you'll see that everything's punched out for you except for this area here in the upper left. That's because this holds in it all of the connector pieces that will hold the overlay to the backboard with the player mat in between. So let's go ahead first and go and punch this out. Just add a little pressure and it'll snap right out. So, okay. And then we're going to need to punch out all these connector pieces. You only need 6 connectors per board, but I give you 8 just in case you lose one or anything happens. So let's go ahead and punch these out as well. Just put a little pressure and they'll snap right out. Okay, and I'm only punching out 8 again because that's, or I'm sorry, 6 of the 8 because that's all we need for now. Okay, now the next thing you're going to need to do with each connector as well as the boards is remove the protective paper that is on both sides of each piece. As with any product that you get from BoardGameBoost.com, each piece will come with these little protrusions that look like letter B's. The B stands for break off, and what you're going to do is you're going to look for the B that has the line underneath it like this, and then you're going to push away from it. So we're just going to apply a little pressure upward, and you see it just breaks right off. But what it does is takes the paper with it so that you don't need to be picking for an edge of the paper with your fingernail. And this also allows you to do this process while wearing the gloves. So let's just do it to the other side like that, and so forth. So you are going to need to do that for every piece, every connector, but as you can see, it goes extremely quickly. Okay, now that we've done that, we also need to remove the paper from the panels. So in the overlay case, the B's are actually located in the bottom left bin. They're right here. So it's going to work the exact same way. I'm going to go in there and apply a little pressure and get some of the paper started. And again, it just snaps off like that. Okay, and now I have the paper started, and I can just start peeling from there. Now, when you're peeling the paper off of the overlay piece, you do want to be careful because this material in between the income tracks is very thin, so you want to treat it with care so that you don't risk breaking it. So what I recommend is getting the paper started, then putting the panel flat down, and with your one hand holding it down and the other hand you just peel it. That way you don't there's no risk of putting any weird pressure on the board or bending it or contorting it in any way. So you can see that the paper Stays together very nicely. You can just work your way from left to right, peeling it off. And it all comes off pretty quickly. You will need to do this, of course, for both sides. So I'll just speed up the other side. Okay, so we have our acrylic panel, our overlay, completely peeled at this point. So there's no more paper on it. And we can just put this over here for 1 second because we do need to peel the paper off this panel as well. But this will go a bit faster because it's all one solid piece. There's very few cutouts. The B protrusions on this are in a little notch in one of the corners. So just look for that, and then it works the exact same way. So I'll go speed this up quickly as I do this one as well. Okay, so now we have both panels completely peeled, and we're ready to actually assemble the board. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to put your backboard down. It doesn't matter left, right, up, down. It's all the same anyway. So you just put it flat down. And we're going to take our connector pieces first. Okay, again, you only need 6 connectors per board. So you'll see on the connector that it's kind of a T almost, where the bottom is narrower than the top. So that is exactly the orientation, and you'll be able to tell because the wider part will not be able to fit in the backboard. So you're going to want to put it down like this, where the thinner part is on the bottom, and you simply put it over the hole. It'll kind of slot right into the groove, and then you just apply a little pressure down, and it'll snap. It'll snap or just become tight, but most of the time you'll hear it snap down. So go ahead and do that for all of the holes. Just get it started, and then it'll snap right down with some pressure. Okay, we now have our connectors in place. Now we're going to take our actual player mat, and we're just going to drop it in, and it'll sit very nicely between all of the connectors. It creates a little bit of a little locking system for it. So it's going to sit perfectly nicely in between the connectors. Now lastly, we're going to take the overlay. Now this time you do need to be careful about orientation because obviously it's going to be lined up. So at the very bottom of the board, you're going to see it says Board Game Boost logo. So you want to make sure, of course, that it's not backwards like this. So you want to make sure it's reading properly. And you do want it at the very bottom. If it was at the top, of course, it would be upside down or some other way unreadable. So as long as you can read it properly and it's at the bottom, you're all set. So we're going to take this, and this has slots on the outer rim as well. And we're just going to line it up. It should kind of sit nicely in the start of the connectors, and then you're just going to go around the edge and just push it down, and you'll hear it snapping in as you're pushing down over each connector. And now we have our completed board, nice and solid. You'll never have to do this again. It's completely locked together now that it's snapped together. Okay, so just quickly about use. It's pretty straightforward. The cubes go in the different income tracks, and they have little grooves between each number to hold the cube in place and prevent it from sliding left and right. And then of course you do have the bins as well that will hold all of the resources. In the event that you have income that needs to go to a number higher than 10, you do have this little 45-degree turned slot to indicate you're at plus 10. And then if you need to go to plus 20, then you can just keep a cube in the 10 spot as per the game instructions. And then that'll cover 99% of the incomes that anyone ever has. Of course, if anyone has 30 or more, then you will have to get a little creative. But that's very rare. I've never had a game where that's happened yet. Although maybe I'm just not that good a player. Who knows? In any case, one other really important thing I wanted to note to you is that in the design of this game, or I'm sorry, of this product, a lot of people wanted to have a wall between energy and heat, and a lot of other people wanted it to be no wall. So previously I was selling it just with the wall, but now it's your choice whether you want the wall or not. The item ships with the wall here, as you can see, but if you look very closely, it has some cuts in it. And so if you are someone that would prefer there not to be a wall here, so you can just slide the cubes from energy to heat, then very simply you just put some pressure on it and it'll just break right off. And now there's no wall, but the item is still very nicely finished. It won't look as if there was something broken off. But just be advised, that's a one-way trip. Once you break it off, there's no going back. So be sure you really want it that way before you do it. But if you do, it's very easy to do, and then you'll have the boards the way you like them. I also wanted to note that this area here of the player mat, which has no game purpose, I did cut a long slot there so that it would be possible to store some of the extra player cubes for marking hexes on the map or marking card actions, etc. So it doesn't hold all of the cubes, but it does hold quite a lot so that they're at the ready for you. And that is it. Thank you for watching this video and for your interest in this product. If you buy it, I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions or difficulties with the assembly, I am always available for help, so please just email me. And as always, just remember, if you're playing, you're already winning. Thanks for watching. See you next time.